Years ago, I appeared on Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares while they were filming an episode in Colorado. And I learned something I've never forgotten. Reality TV is not reality. It's edited, it's shaped, it's packaged into a story, but real life is not scripted. Real life is messy, and that's what this channel is about. Hi, I'm V, and I'm starting this channel before I feel ready. Not because I have everything figured out, not because my life is perfectly organized, not because I have the perfect studio, the perfect plan, the perfect schedule, or the perfect version of myself ready to present to the world. I'm starting because life is short. And if the last few years have taught me anything, it's that waiting for the perfect moment can turn into never starting at all. The last few years changed my life in ways I never expected. And grief isn't new to me. It's shaped my life more than once. But I'm still here. I'm not pretending everything is easy. I'm choosing to pay attention to what is still possible. For me, this has always come back to time. I want the freedom to stay close to home when I need to, care for my elderly dogs, work with people I choose, and spend my days building things that actually matter to me. That kind of freedom doesn't happen by accident. It has to be built, so I'm not starting from nothing. I'm starting from what I have. The websites I know how to build, the stories I know how to tell, the art I know how to make, the tools I know how to use, the garden that keeps teaching me, and the experience I've earned by living through things I never would have chosen. Now it's time to turn all of that into something that supports my life. I invite you to join me as I document my life as I build it. I'm sharing what I know, what I'm learning, and what I'm still figuring out. I'm an entrepreneur and lifelong learner, and retirement has never been how I've imagined my life. I've lived my life like some people imagine their retirement. I'm using research, tools, movement, medical information, technology, art, gardening, and everything I've learned along the way to create a life that feels abundant, independent, and mine. I don't know what the future holds. None of us do. But I'm here. I'm showing up, and I'm creating how I want to live, outside of the mainstream, the way I always have. Some days, gratitude looks like a cup of rhubarb from the garden. And some days, it looks like one box unpacked, one closet cleaned out, one corner reclaimed, one problem solved, one page finished, or one small step forward when I don't have the whole plan. I'm not pretending everything is easy. I'm paying attention to what is still possible and what I want to accomplish. And what I want now is choices. So when I say I'm rebuilding, I don't mean I'm starting from nothing. I'm starting from what I have. The websites I know how to build, the stories I know how to tell, the art I know how to make, the tools I know how to use, the garden that keeps teaching me, and the experience I've earned by living through things I never would have chosen. Now it's time to turn all of that into something that supports my life. For more than 25 years, I've launched businesses, closed businesses, and helped other people with websites, branding, hosting, online learning, content, marketing, digital systems, courses, creative projects, tech strategy, and teaching has always been part of that. I have a background in educational tech, and I've spent a lot of my life helping people understand tools that feel overwhelming at first. That's one of the things I love most. Taking something complicated and making it feel possible. I think I've always been part teacher, part translator, and part builder. I know how to help people take an idea, organize it, teach it, share it, and turn it into something real. I've done that work for clients, but somewhere along the way, especially during the hardest parts of my own life, I stopped showing up for myself in the same way. So that's part of what this channel is. It's me turning my own skills back toward my own life. I'm rebuilding my websites, my offers, my content, my income streams, my art, my garden projects, my educational resources, my services, my confidence, my voice, and I'm going to share the process. Not because I have all the answers, because I think the process matters. And because maybe the process is the part we don't see enough. We see the finished brand, the finished website, the polished course, the perfect kitchen, the beautiful garden harvest, the successful business, the before and after. But we don't always see the messy middle, the false starts, the doubts, the mistakes, the little wins, the half-finished ideas. The moments where you think, okay, I know I can do this, but where do I even start? That's the part I want to share. This channel is going to be a mix of things because my life is a mix of things. You'll see my garden, you'll see my art, you'll see me use AI tools. You'll see me build websites, digital products, offers, and systems. You'll see things that work. You'll see things that absolutely do not work. You'll see small harvests from the garden, like 1 cup of rhubarb that turns into refrigerator jam. And that's the kind of thing I love. Taking something small and making it useful. Taking something ordinary and making it beautiful. Taking what you already have and asking, what can this become? That is the thread running through a lot of my life. Art is like that. Gardening is like that. Business is like that. Technology is like that. Teaching is like that. Healing is like that too. You start with what's in front of you. You use what you have. You learn as you go. And you keep building. For me, self-sufficiency is not just growing food. It's knowing how to use your skills. It's knowing how to communicate. It's knowing how to earn. It's knowing how to adapt. It's knowing how to learn new tools instead of being afraid of them. It's knowing how to make something useful from what you already know, what you've already lived, and what you can create. That's why this channel includes AI, art, self-sufficiency, and real life. Because to me, those things are connected. AI is not separate from creativity. Technology is not separate from survival. Gardening is not separate from business. Storytelling is not separate from healing. And rebuilding a life is not separate from rebuilding the systems that support that life. Part of what I'm doing here is very practical. I need to turn my skills into revenue. That's not something I'm embarrassed to say. I think a lot of creative people, especially people who have spent years helping everyone else, can get uncomfortable saying, I need this to support my life, but I do. And maybe you do too. So as I rebuild my own online presence and my own business, I'm going to show the process. How I think about a website, how I structure an offer, and how I use AI to get unstuck, how I create content from real life, how I turn experience into a digital product, how I simplify the tech, how I decide what is worth building and what is just a distraction. And if you're a business owner, artist, creator, educator, or entrepreneur who needs help with the digital side of your business, your website, hosting, content, email, online course, AI tools, or just figuring out what to do next, that is the work I do. I help people make the digital side of business feel less overwhelming and more doable. So yes, this channel is personal, but it is also professional because this is the work. This is what I know how to do. And it's time to show up for myself with the same care and strategy I've given to other people. And yes, I'm using AI to make this channel. I'm using AI tools to organize ideas, draft scripts, create visuals, research topics, summarize information, and move from idea to finished content faster. I'm not shying away from that. This is why we use technology. Not to replace the human story. Not to pretend life is perfect, but to remove the friction that keeps us stuck. If filming on camera every single time becomes the thing that slows me down, then I'm going to use the tools that help me keep going. That's the point. AI is not the first time I've watched the world change because of technology. I lived through the birth of the mainstream internet. I built websites when people were still asking whether a business really needed one. I worked in online learning when education was just beginning to move on to the web. So I've seen this pattern before. At first, new tools feel strange. Then they feel disruptive. Then they become part of everyday life. And somewhere in that shift, there are opportunities, especially for people who are willing to learn, teach, create, and adapt. That's why I'm paying attention to AI now. I don't see it as magic. I don't see it as a shortcut around doing the work. I see it as a tool, a thinking tool, a teaching tool, a creative tool, a production tool. And for people like me, people who have ideas, skills, experience, and limited time, that matters. Because sometimes the difference between an idea staying stuck in your head and an idea becoming something real is having the right tool at the right moment. That's what I want to explore here. How do regular people use AI? How do creative people use AI? How do small business owners use AI? How do we use these tools without losing our voice, our judgment, or our humanity? How do we use technology to show up more consistently, not less authentically? That is one of the questions I'll be exploring here. For the next 10 weeks, I'm committing to showing up here once a week. Some videos will be practical, some will be personal, some will be about the garden, some will be about AI, some will be about building a business, some will be about art, storytelling, digital tools, and the strange process of becoming visible again after life has knocked you sideways. I'm not promising perfection. I'm promising process. I'm promising useful lessons. I'm promising to share what I'm learning as I go. One week, that might be how I turned a small garden harvest into something beautiful. Another week, it might be how I use AI to organize my content ideas. Another week, it might be how I'm rethinking my websites, my services, my offers, or my income streams. This is not a polished reality show. This is not a guru channel. This is not me pretending I have it all figured out. This is me rebuilding a creative, self-sufficient life in real time using the tools available to me. So if you're also trying to figure out what comes next, if you're starting over in some part of your life, if you're creative, curious, overwhelmed, interested in AI, trying to build something, grow something, sell something, or simply become more self-sufficient, you're welcome here. I'm V. This is Rebuilding in Public, Messy Life, lived authentically, with strategy, and I'm starting now. Thank you for spending your valuable time with me today. I appreciate you. If this episode resonated, subscribe and follow along as I rebuild in public, one story, one project, one lesson at a time. And if you need help with the digital side of your business, of your website, hosting, content, online course, AI tools, or simply figuring out what to do next, that's the work I do. You'll find links in the description. I'm V. Until next time.